If you looked at 10 minutes of brisk walking every day as a supplement or a pharmaceutical you could take, it would be the most successful pharmaceutical of all time. People in the future, I think, will be, if you're talking to a health professional, a dietitian or a physical therapist, or someone that's treating you for diseases in the hospital, and they're actually out for your best interest in your health, they'll be like, okay, first thing I'll talk to you is, how much walking are you doing per day? Like, what's your baseline of movement? Okay, if you're not at, say, 20 minutes of brisk walking per day, let's get you there first before we start talking about pharmaceuticals, before we start talking about anything else. Hey, what's up, guys? Please watch this video to the very end, because I've got these ideas which I think you'll gain value from, but I'm trying to articulate them in a way that you can gain value from. So give me a little bit of time, because they're a little abstract as of now, but hopefully over the next few minutes you'll start to understand better what I'm trying to express. So, all right, we got this washing machine going on right now. I'm just gonna take you to a different room. So everything I've learned in my life over the past 6 years of really, maybe more than 6 years, of really trying to be successful, whatever that means, to learn about success, to learn about getting better and growth and learning and happiness and trying to do my best, whatever that means. I've always had a growth oriented outlook and trying to do my best. So I've been working recently about building systems, right? I've realized that systems are the way to build routines and to stick to routines and to make progress in things that I value, essentially towards goals. Gonna have this open because there's no ventilation in this room. I feel my mind already getting foggy. So essentially, we got systems, right? My idea behind systems are that we build systems, we set in place routines directed towards a goal in order to reach that goal. Because if you don't have routines, you don't have a decent amount of decisions already pre-made when you wake up. This is what I do at this time, this is what I do this time, this is what I'm doing right now. Eventually, if you don't have those things already set in place, you just become bogged down with too many decisions to make every day. So you can have windows of periods of time where this is complete creative freedom, no plan, what am I going to do? I figure it out when I'm doing it. But you need a lot of largely things that you do every day, or you have some weekly routine in order to make progress, because consistency beats just bursts of effort that are not consistent. So a little bit every day over a long period of time beats a lot in a little bit amount of time, or a lot over a day or a couple days or a couple weeks, right? So that leads me to, well, what do I want? What is my goal? So 6 months ago, or whenever the beginning of the fall semester for college was, my goal was to learn everything I can from school, maximize how much I learn, and maximize essentially my grades. And I built my systems around that and proved to myself I can stay consistent over a 4-month period directed at my goal. And these systems of going to bed and waking up at the same time, working out at X amount of times, 6 times a week, eating whole foods, this is where I eat my meals, this is when I eat my meals, essentially building the system to allow me to get 99% plus, 100% in a lot of college level courses, 15 credits of STEM. So, but largely those are routines. I didn't wake up every day like, what am I going to do? Like, I knew when I'm doing certain things. What do I do right in the morning? What do I do? What do I eat? I already had these decisions made. I had my class schedule. I knew what I did in my free time. I knew how many hours a day I'm aiming to study for. I used Pomodoros, 25-minute chunks with 5-minute breaks to break up those routines. And so we're seeing the system and routines being largely important for reaching a goal. So what is my goal? So my goal, I've after lots of thinking and everything, is what I define as self-mastery. So I want to master myself. I want to master discipline. I want to master confidence. I want to master my health. I want to master my attractiveness, my style, and my financial freedom, wealth, success. All these somewhat abstract things. But to me, it's abstract, but it's also kind of becoming clear and materializing. Okay, so another idea I have is about these things are revolving around certain things: success, confidence, wealth, attractiveness, health. All these things are it's very hard to focus on one of them and get all of them. If you focus on mastering one of them, it essentially they're all these things I want are a part of one big holistic picture. They're not separate things in reality. In reality, they're all a part of one big picture. And to reduce them into individual components is actually not too conducive. Like, you need a balance, but it's not, that alone is too simplistic and won't allow the success of all of them or achievement of all the attributes of self-mastery. And the reason I think that is because I was working on becoming extremely healthy as I could be. And initially I was like, okay, first I will master sleep, and then I will master whatever comes next. For me, that was diet, but at the time it was sleep. And I'm focusing on sleep, and I'm trying to incorporate all the sleep habits, and I'm trying to read all and learn about sleep. Eventually I realized, now looking back with hindsight, I never really had that great of sleep. I mean, surely average or above average, but I never reached like mastery level sleep. And the reason was because I was neglecting these other pieces of health that are actually extremely important in sleep. To have perfect sleep, you need to have a really optimized exercise routine, movement, cardio, mobility, and strength training. Those are critical for great sleep. You need to have a lot more than just what they talk about in sleep, as in going to bed and waking up at the same time, having a nighttime routine, having a morning routine, setting your circadian rhythm. It also is diet is extremely important. What you eat and when you eat it massively affects your sleep. So to master sleep, you not only need to know a lot about sleep, you need to know a lot about exercise, and you need know a lot about diet. You also need to know a lot about socializing and how isolation and lack of social connection and bonding and close relationships affects your sleep as well. It affects your stress and stress management and mindfulness. That has a massive effect on how you sleep as well. So it's one big picture, and you can't master just one of them without a good foundation in all of them. So, and I believe that's the same with wealth, and I think that's the same with health. Health and wealth are, if you want both, it's, maybe you can focus on money, right? And achieve money on its own, but I think it's better to try to lay the minimum viable products in both. Get the highest ROI, return on investment of your time. What's the things I can do the least amount of time to get the highest return on in both health and wealth at the same time, and build these systems together, the lifestyle together. Don't try to build one lifestyle, right, routine in isolation, and then try to get health as well, because then you're going to have to rip apart this routine, and then you're going to build this new routine. Just like, for example, Brian Johnson, he went for money first, which at the expense of his health, he became wealthy, and then he tore down that type of business, and he stopped working in that type of business and started rebuilding a new routine focused on health. I'm more of the mindset right now to build both at the same time, right? Build a sustainable lifestyle that you can build over time, and you're happy in. A lifestyle that you're healthy, you're making enough money to survive, you're building wealth, and you're happy, and you're getting everything you want in your current lifestyle. Don't put it off until you master one thing. I think you can do them at the same time, because it's one big picture. All of that to say, where am I starting, right? So I say I'm going all in on music a week ago, right? And to me, I don't know what that means. So I just start diving in every day, no routine. Wake up, just figure out something to do right away. And eventually that kind of leads to like burnout and kind of lack of, I learned a lot from doing that. But I mean, I got to the point now where I learned, okay, when I'm feeling bad, what do those days in the past years, what do those days look like? And to me, those days where I feel the worst, when I'm depressed, when I'm confused, I feel stuck the most, is when I have the least amount of movement, no exercise, and a sedentary lifestyle. So what's the cure to starting? Where's the foundation of all of what I'm talking about? Success, wealth, health, what is the foundation of all of it is walking, essentially, every day. A minimum of 10 minutes per day, and I'm defining brisk walking as separate from walking. I did a lot of research last night and this morning, hour or two worth of, notes on the science behind it, because I'm going for a scientific view of what's optimal for health. And I'm going to take an optimized approach towards health, and believing that my health is one of my greatest assets, and that it will give me the energy and the motivation to make the best decisions for business, which will then allow me to gain wealth and freedom, but the foundation being the wealth, or the health, I mean. So non-negotiable, like 10 minutes every day. I'm going to start my mornings 10 minutes brisk walk every day, because it's low risk, low impact. Like, you can't, there's so many benefits physically for your body, your cardiovascular health, your nervous system health, your immune system, circulation of nutrients, your recovery, your mental health, lowering depression, increasing and improving levels of dopamine and serotonin, and stabilizing mood, as well as so many other things, as well as increased productivity, increased creativity, increased discipline, increased decision making. Like, it's essentially, if you looked at 10 minutes of brisk walking, which I'll define in a second, every day as a supplement or a pharmaceutical you could take, it would be the most successful pharmaceutical of all time. It is the bedrock which I'm going to build my exercise routine upon. No matter what I do for any day, at least I'm going to have this baseline level of brisk walking. And brisk walking is, I was kind of scared of it at first. The word, I'm like, brisk walking seems uncomfortable, or like, it seems like, I don't know, I don't like the word. But when I just realized it's defined as 3 to 4 miles per hour, it's really not that fast. I'm using a treadmill right now so that I can actually see the miles per hour and I can feel what it's like. But 3 to 4 miles per hour is nothing unbelievable. It's really, brisk walking is also defined as like, you're walking you're slightly out of breath, but you can still hold a conversation. So it's really not that much exertion. And I used to think like, okay, well, if it's not really hard, it's not worth the time. And that's just a bad idea and a bad belief for me. There's the benefits, and the science doesn't lie behind the benefits of movement. Someone like Hippocrates, who I think was considered the father of medicine, Greek philosopher, he said famously that movement is like man's greatest medicine. Movement is, man's greatest medicine, or something along those lines. So he knew way before we had the science, and the science is just proving that this is the, so it was 10 minutes are probably the highest ROI you can have for anything, for use of time, because it benefits everything. It's just like exercise or sleep in general. It's like, it improves everything. It improves everything you do. So that's where I'm starting. Really simple, 10 minutes per morning, brisk walking, 3 miles per hour initially. That gives me about 1,000 steps of brisk, moderate exercise, which is different. Total amount of steps and how you achieve those steps, whether it's slow walking, brisk walking, jogging, running, sprinting, they all lead to different outcomes. And typically the more intense, typically the better. But I'm starting with this thing that's easy. I'm not gonna run into injury. I can build upon, I will build my health upon this, with a goal eventually to be at 30 minutes a day. That seems kind of a lot to me right now. I'm not gonna lie. 30 minutes per day seems like kind of a lot. It's like I have to do 30 minutes every day for the rest of my life. Kind of seems like a lot for whatever reason. So we're starting with 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the minimum. And I'm gonna listen to my body and make sure that psychologically it feels manageable all steps of the way. For now, I have this rough outline of a 12-week plan and the amount of minutes I'm going to increase by. So week 1 is 10 minutes per day. Then I'll add 1 minute. Week 2, add 1 more minute. Week 3, so now we're at 12. Week 4, 13. Then we start increasing by 2 minutes per week, right? Eventually till we get to week 12 being 30 minutes per day. And we wanted to make it really manageable, following like scientifically backed increasing rates, that's all based in science. So that's around a 10% or less increase in total amount of output per week to make sure it's psychologically manageable and make sure that it actually builds into a habit that becomes part of my identity, so that I build this habit now, and for the rest of my life, this is what I do. And it's just easy, and it's almost harder not to. It feels wrong not to walk every day at a brisk pace, which is going to lead to wonders for my health, because it's something we take for granted. At least I did, in being in school and being just active in sports, and taking away that, it's like, oh, I don't feel good all the time. Well, I had to figure out, starting from nothing, no behaviors, like complete blank slate, why am I feeling bad, like, and experimenting until I come up with this, which I think is the foundation of a health routine. I mean, the people in the future, I think, will be, if you're talking to a health professional, a dietitian or a physical therapist, or someone that's treating you for diseases in the hospital, like, and they're actually out for your best interest in your health, and you talk to them, and they'll be like, okay, first thing I'll talk to you is, how much walking are you doing per day? Like, what's your baseline of movement? Okay, if you're not at, say, 20 minutes of brisk walking per day, let's get you there first. However that we have to do that, whatever your unique path is, let's get you there first before we start talking about pharmaceuticals, before we start talking about anything else, before we start talking about, literally any other treatments. Like, let's get your baseline movement to this and see how your body responds, and see how your sleep improves, and see how your nutrient uptake improves, and let's see how your gut lining improves and your gut microbiome from just adding some basic more movements to your life. So importantly, I put not completely set in stone, listen to body. So ultimately, like, if my feet start to hurt or whatever, or if I feel fatigued, like, I got to listen to my body and make sure that it's personalized to me. But this is just a rough outline of how I'm going to get to that 30 minutes per day goal. Reflect on how the changes feel and what I'm thinking. So yeah, that's where I'm at for this is the thing I'm gonna do. All right, guys, my phone died, but let's finish this out. So, brisk walking, movement daily is the foundation of everything for me. How am I gonna get better at music? Brisk walking. How am I gonna get healthier? Brisk walking. How am I gonna get more attractive? Brisk walking. How am I gonna be happier? Brisk walking. How am I gonna get smarter? Brisk walking. How am I gonna reach my goals? Brisk walking. It contributes to everything in a very meaningful way. You take away movement, you become sedentary, you take away exercise, you take away this bedrock that the foundation of health rests upon and is built upon. Everything else doesn't matter. Everything else becomes much harder. So here's the first thing I'm working on for a foundation of success, for a foundation of health. This is very simple, right? It seems extremely simple. It took me years of experimentation, years of studying, years of reflection to come to such a simple truth, such a simple routine. So please subscribe, because I'm trying to work a lot harder on these videos. I'm trying to make these better. I'm trying to give value out where I can. And this is something I feel is extremely valuable. And I hope that you take away some value from this. Take away the simple truth that if you're not getting baseline of movement, stop focusing on everything else until you have a baseline of movement. Then you can start working on other things. But without this keystone, without this foundation, everything else becomes less meaningful. Everything else becomes much harder. And everyone can do it. It's low risk, it's low impact. And there's really no excuse not to do it unless, barring extreme scenarios where you literally can't do it. So please like the video, again, because I'm trying to give value out, and I hope you gain some value from this, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.